Sometimes you want to know the weather for your location, and a weather app could be useful. Or, if you have a weather station, you know exactly what the weather's like at a home location. But what if you're out on the go? Enter the WeatherFlow Portable Weather Meter, giving you localized data right where you need it.
Hello, I'm Wanderer001, and this is my review of the WeatherFlow Weather Meter. There are several different variants of this particular weather meter. There is an agricultural one, a ballistics one, and then your generic weather meter. So we're going to be looking at this. Realistically, they all are very similar with a few caveats here and there to lower the price of specific ones, because one is mainly created for ballistics and the other for agriculture. This one here is your generic all-around weather meter and sits about midway in the pack for price range. The weather meter itself has lots of data that it can provide to you. Wind speed, wind direction, temperature, air pressure, humidity, and a lot more. I will list all of the readings that it can do down in the description area below, as well as the data ranges down in the description, so I don't bog down the video with data that you can just read through. What you're looking at here is a 3.2 inch by 1.5 inch device at its longest and widest. Right here you can see this actually is a pass-through and then our fan for getting our wind speeds. And here you can see with very little effort of me moving or blowing from around the camera that gets going very easily, very well. Nice ball bearings in there, kind of help it realistically without any extra effort on your part, unlike some other cheaper models, we'll say. There's not a lot going on here. There is a button right here. This is your turn on / Bluetooth pair button. You can see right there. It will blink until it pairs up with my phone. You will need the application open in order to do that. On the bottom here, you can see you've got a threaded mount because, well, there are some things that come with this in the box. Aside from the weather meter itself, you also get a clamshell plastic carrying case, which you don't have to carry it in, but I keep it there so everything's all in one location. You can see right here, there is a cutout with an extra divot down there because if you still have a cell phone that has a 3.5mm headphone jack, you can actually screw this into the bottom of the WeatherFlow, and while this is still attached, place it back into the carrying box. I like that. That is a good design feature for something that doesn't really exist anymore. So if you're not going to be using the 3.5, it does come with another attachment, which we'll screw that on right there, which is just a little eyelet hook so you can hang this off of something should you want. And just like the other one, does fit nicely and snugly in the carrying case itself. And we're just gonna take that off really quick and put that back and close the carrying case and set that aside. You notice that there are no dials of information on this device. That is because it is used with an application, but that also means that there is a setup process for this. So let's take a look at what the setup process for this is like. The setup process really is just as simple as downloading the WeatherFlow app and letting it connect. And you'll know it's done so once this not connected turns to green. And there you go. That was setup of the WeatherFlow Weather Meter. This is an electronic Bluetooth device, and that is how you pair this with the smart app. But that also means that there is a battery. This is a replaceable CR2450 watch battery. WeatherFlow states will get you about 500 hours of actual testing. And you can see right there, it lost pairing. If you ever need to replace the battery, it is simple but tricky to do. This is a rubberized silicone covering, which allows this to have some semblance of weather resistance, as you might imagine. So in order to replace the battery, the easiest thing to do is kind of push all the rubber towards the top and then peel it away from your fan. And here you can see the device itself, little channel around our wind portion. And then if we flip it over to the back, there simply is a plastic cover that we can remove and replace the battery. It does come with a battery, so you do not have to replace that right away. And just know that you'll get roughly 500 hours of usage out of it. And when you're done, it was just as simple as that. Put the silicone cover back on. During the setup process, you did see me pull out an application, and that is because this is a smart device, and really you need the app to do just about anything with this particular weather meter. So let's take a look at the WeatherFlow app for the WeatherFlow Weather Meter. This is the Weather Meter app or the WeatherFlow Weather Meter. You'll see right here, this is the landing page that you first come to. Notice if you do not have your actual weather meter attached to this, you're not going to get any data up here. So note it says not connected, and all you really have access to is this last recorded section. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly bring our weather meter into focus here and allow it to connect. And there you can see it connects. But What I also want you to notice is right here, this data, if I come, as you can see, if I move this, I'm moving the actual device. There I'm blowing on the actual device and it's spinning. It's not recording any data. It will not start recording until you hit start. And for that, you actually have to moving it this much isn't really gonna do anything, but if I come in here, now there's a few things I want you to pay attention to. One, the wind speed does change based on how much airflow is going through there. Temperature also, pressure reading good, humidity also good. This directional true north, that's problematic in that because this itself does not have a gauge. There I started up aimed in the opposite direction. The direction is actually being pulled from the cell phone itself as to what direction it is. And we'll stop that. And then once we do that, we've got direction, average, gust, humidity, all that. We can select more and it's going to show us all the extra information for that specific data read. And we're going to select back. We can add a description if we wanted to, and then we can save. We can share this after the fact, or we can delete this. I am going to just delete this right from there. So all I have is my 2 previous ones. If I open up a previous one, just like you saw before, we've got all that app data. We can open it up and see everything else, which we'll touch on a little later. And then we can share. I can delete if I want to. Notice because this is actually attached, not only do we have the start button here, we also have this, the WeatherFlow icon in the upper right-hand corner, pulsating. That's just another factor letting you know, hey, the device attached to it. If we come up here to the upper left-hand corner, we will click on our 3 bars there. That's our hamburger menu. That opens up all of the settings that we have. So starting off, wind and weather, we have take a reading, which brings us back to this page. Coming back, we can do settings. This is where you can really get into how the data is displayed to you. So you have primary activity. Right now it's set to other, but we can say windsurfing, kite, sail, fish, pilot, work, or other. I have other because none of these really pertain to me. Because we select other, I can enter a name as to what I want this to be. For me, I will just say testing and hit enter, and that will lock it in there. Next, we have our speed units. Right now I have it for miles per hour, but you can do feet per minute, knots, kilometers per hour, meters per second, and Beaufort, which I said incorrectly. I'm very certain. You have directional display. Right now it's in text. You can change that to degree. So that's again just going to be how things display for you. And the directional display in degrees, what does that mean? Well, if we come back here and run another start, you could see that it is indicating 93 degrees instead of east as it was before. And we're just going to delete that and come back into our settings. So here we have magnetic declination. We have true north or magnetic north, self-explanatory. Maximum samples per period. I have 60 samples, but you could go all the way up to infinite and as small as 3 seconds. Temperature units, Fahrenheit or Celsius. Pressure units, you have inches of mercury or millibars. I have millibars selected. Other units, you've got imperial or metric. And then here you have published data. This is one of the first things that I turned off. You have the ability to share this data, which includes your location. If you don't want to share your location data with people who can search, I suggest turning that off. Again, that's the first thing that I turned off. Just putting it out there, letting you know. You have wireless range. Right now, it's set for low, 15 feet or 5 meters. Selecting that, you can select high, which is 100/30 meters. That just means how far the device can be from the phone and application before it will lose connection. So for me, I'm only gonna take readings when I'm fairly close, and I don't want this to stay connected to my phone if I'm far outside the reach of this. I want this to kind of go into a hibernate mode, which you can see, it's not blinking anymore. That means it did. And then down here you have update firmware. Because this hibernated, I had to start it up again. And then we can see it's got start reading. We are attached again. Come back here to our settings and do a firmware check. And there's no firmware, but that's where you go. We've got history. These are the 2 readings that I did. You saw them on the front page. I can select them. It will show me all that read data as I had before. I can also select edit where I can go boop and share or delete in bulk if I wanted to right from there. You can get more wind meters if you wanted to directly from WeatherFlow. Here you can see wind meter, weather meter, all the meters that they offer. Help FAQ, well, that's going to bring you to WeatherFlow's Help and FAQ page for the device itself. And we're gonna come back, compatible apps. This is going to bring up applications that you can use with this. And as you might imagine, it brings you to the WeatherFlow page, which is where you would find, if you didn't know already, the application for this. I have seen other people utilize this with other apps, so it's just a matter of, can the data be pulled from this and ported into another app? Here we have developer inquiry. So if you had an inquiry, you can put your data in there, and then we're going to come back, and this is going to be support, and this is sending in a support ticket. It might look very similar to the developer inquiry. It's going to a separate support page. Realistically, that is everything that you can do for the application for the WeatherFlow Weather Meter within the WeatherMeter app. As you saw, a very simplistic application for what this is. It gives you the bare bones of information and customization that you would expect for something like this. I have seen other reviews that show that the WeatherFlow Weather Meter here is compatible with other applications, mostly ballistics. I'm not trying those, but I'm letting you know that it can talk to those other applications as well. I showed you what it can do, the application. Surely there must be some downfalls. And one of my biggest complaints, as you can see, if you're going down the rabbit hole of portable weather devices, you've probably come across another brand, Kestrel, which has all the information on the device itself. The WeatherFlow, no information is shown on the device. It needs an application in order to display that information. That is one downfall of the WeatherFlow compared to that other device. However, this is remarkably cheaper compared to that other device. So it is a trade-off. Cheaper device, have to use it with a cell phone, doesn't have a lot of the internal GPS type stuff that the Kestrels have, but you're going to be saving quite a bit of money. One of the other downfalls, depending on how you're going to use this, is the limitation of Bluetooth range. You can only use this up to 100 feet away. Some people, that might not be enough. If you're asking me and you're trying to get a weather reading that far out, you might want to consider something like the WeatherFlow Tempest Station, review over there in the corner, for something more fixed in a location. This is very good for portable, but that also means that you're not going to be using this far away from your mobile device. All things considered, for the price to features, what you get with the WeatherFlow Weather Meter here, if you really need to know the weather in your exact location, you can't go wrong. I strongly recommend the WeatherFlow Weather Meter here for those that really need to know weather on the go. With that being said, I have been Wanderer001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching.
If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, as that will help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here, you can always help fuel the next review by buying me a coffee, link in the description below. Last but not least, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video, you know what to do.